Offline game modes on the FIFA game series have suffered from a dismal few years in recent times due to the popularity and introduction of the online mode Ultimate Team. Whilst Manager Career Mode has suffered from Ultimate Team and its microtransaction driven direction, it's arguable that it has had an even greater negative effect on Player Career Mode. Since EA Sports introduced the new game mode, The Journey, on FIFA 17, Player Career Mode has been driven even further down the pecking order, so we are now starved of more introduction of quality content now more than ever. But even with this lack of TLC from EA, there is still a greater demand than ever from FIFA and its community to improve Player Career Mode. With that in mind, I'm Bromo18 and this is part 1 of my Player Career Mode wishlist. Now, for any of you who have subscribed to the channel or watched my wishlist videos before, you'll know that we have a certain way of doing this, and that is we have different sections of the game mode and we talk about all the points within that section. That's what we're going to do today. However, there are 3 big improvements that I would like to be added to this mode, which I am unable to fit in any of the sections, so we're going to go right ahead and talk about them here. On a side note, if you enjoy this video and you want to see more content, then be sure to subscribe to the channel down below and ring that bell, as it really helps out the channel. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. The first separate addition that I believe we should see in Pro Clubs is something that has already been suggested in previous wishlist videos, and that is free roam. Now, free roam has been highly demanded over the last couple of years due to the success of other games that have included this as a feature in their career mode games. NBA 2K18 is one in particular that has sprung to mind, in that you have the ability to free roam, and a lot of FIFA fans now want to see that added into Player Career Mode in order for it to take the next step. The areas of free roam availability would be, say for example, around the training ground, and you can interact with different people who are stationed around there, around the stadium, likewise also around the house and in general, and we'll come on to that later on in the wishlist series, because that is also something that is highly recommended. But free roam in general is definitely there to be included and to take the next step, so as to really put yourself in the position of your player and be able to enter that uses and gratifications universe, being immersed and affecting your personal identity. It gives us as the player that sense of being a professional footballer, being in their shoes, and that is what is going to gratify us the most. So definitely need to see that added, hopefully soon, but unlikely. The next addition I'd like to see into Player Career Mode would be that of cutscenes, and essentially press conferences that are built onto that. Cutscenes in general would offer us that experience of immersion again, much like The Journey, which we've now seen that introduction. It would be good if we could get that into Player Career Mode and see our player and be able to pick choices, make choices of speech that would affect different cutscenes, different storylines and scenarios, which we're going to come into more as well later on in the series. That sense of really being in the shoes and being able to affect how it goes, to make it a non-linear narrative, would really go a long way. And that falls hand in hand with press conferences. It would be fantastic if we could see ourselves in the press conference room. The press are lined up maybe every so often, every few weeks, who knows, maybe every few months, but something like that, where you can be in that situation when you sign for a new club, or there's a big storyline, etc. It can lead you to being able to choose what you say to the press, and that might provoke different things happening elsewhere of that as consequences. Also, you might fall out with people around you, the press officer or the manager or different players, etc., based on something that you've said. So that'd be fantastic to really get that into the game mode and see where that can take us as the player in the career. The final separate addition I'd like to see added into Player Career would be social media. Again, we've seen this added into The Journey, and it's started to take quite an effect in those storylines, and hopefully we can get it into Player Career Mode as well. What I'd also like to be added though in that context is the ability to actually make posts, and you can have 3 different types of posts. You can have a safe post, which obviously will provoke positive reactions, a balanced which is going to be, you're not really going off the cuff either way, and then controversial, which could see a lot of consequences happen, but at the same time there could be positive reactions from that. So yeah, it'd be fantastic to have that as a feature. It plays such a massive part, not just in football but in life as well, so there's no reason why we should have it in. That is now the next logical step, and depending on what you tweet or what other people tweet, that can cause rifts between you and other people online, pundits, players, different staff, fans, etc. That would be really fantastic to get that on board and really add something else in terms of storylines and scenarios into the mode. So hopefully we can see that added soon. That rounds that off and brings us very nicely into the first category of the wish list, and this one is my player, but the career aspects of that. So what I mean by that is, for example, one improvement that I'd like to see added to the game is that of having a contract length for your player, and you can choose to run that down if you so wish, and then you can become a free agent at the end of that, and you can stay as a free agent for as long as you like to give yourself time to find the right club, to find the right deal for you. And again, because at the moment it's extremely limited, contracts are simply there, they have a certain wage. The wage doesn't mean anything anyway, which we'll come on to later, and then you just accept it or you reject it, and that's about it. There's no length, and it's essentially irrelevant, but that couldn't be further from the truth. In the footballing world, they play a massive part. They are essentially everything with transfers. They dictate pretty much everything, so these need to be added right away. It gives us another helping hand in terms of pulling through the career mode, I think, because it gives us another option to do. If we want to be a free agent and take our time out of the game, then we should be able to do that. So yeah, hopefully we can see this coming, because it definitely needs to happen, in my opinion. Sticking with that contract element, it could also be an option available to you to hire an agent, or if you decide not to hire an agent, then you can negotiate the contract for yourself, and the elements of that would be negotiating the wage, the length, potential bonuses along with that, and also release clauses. So maybe a minimum fee release clause, or a release clause if you get an offer from a club in a European competition, Champions League or Europa League, or maybe from a club who are in the top division if you're in a lower division, things like that. They really add different elements. Or you can get an agent who will do everything for you. You'll give him guidelines perhaps, but he'll go and work his stuff as agents do, and he'll take a cut at the end, just as they do for their, a fee for their service. So yeah, hopefully we can see that coming as well, and that would really round off the contract element of it, which would be fantastic to see. Really puts career mode into another direction and puts it another step forward. Next up on the list is the wage. Now, I've seen a ton of different suggestions for improvements from the fans of FIFA, demanding that we actually be able to spend our wage and it just not be a number on a screen, which is essentially what it is at the moment. You can have a wage of some sort and it doesn't actually affect anything, apart from the fact that clubs won't sign you if your wage is too high, other than the richest clubs, i.e. Manchester United, PSG, Real Madrid, Barcelona. So yeah, we should definitely be able to spend that wage on different expendables, and this is where sort of the free roam thing comes in that I was talking about earlier. How fantastic would it be if we could buy cars and houses and various different expendables to add into that experience? How fantastic would that be? That, it sounds so brilliant, and it's definitely achievable. It's actually alluded to in the journey this year and last year. You see Alex Hunter, as he's getting higher wages and he's pressing on with his career, he starts to get the perks with it. He's getting the new apartments and new houses, or when he moves to America, you can see all the different lifestyle that he's had because of the money that he's receiving, and there's a lot of perks that come along with that. And now we should be able to get that, to give our wage an actual value of some sort, and to also help with when we're negotiating it as well, to make it more desirable for us to pull through each season, to keep pressing on with the career mode, because there's better houses that you can buy and better cars and better different objects and various different luxury items that we can get because of the wage that we're receiving. If we stick with the monetary aspect for this improvement as well, sponsorships are also something I believe we should see added into the game. I know a lot of people are demanding this also, just as something, an extra expendable in terms of the money, in terms of the fact that it's a part of football. So many players have these sponsorship deals, so you know, we should be able to simulate that reality as well in player career mode. There's various different elements in the journey which allude to this. In fact, there is a scene when Alex Hunter actually has an audition for an Adidas advert, as he's sponsored by Adidas, and so let's see that brought over into player career mode. Give us some more stuff based on these monetary aspects, contracts and the player reputation, etc., that can really you know, push the mode another step forward. Sticking with this category but moving away from the money aspect now, one thing that I believe we should have the ability to do is express a desire to move to a certain club. When you've requested a transfer, you know, you get these offers and none of the clubs are really ones that you want to move to, and you're sort of stuck in limbo because, you know, you want the club, a certain club, and they're not coming in for you, they're not making the offer. So, you know, what do you do? We've seen it many times in real life. An example that springs to mind now is Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain in the summer when his move to Liverpool occurred. Beforehand, he'd rejected the offer from Arsenal. We knew he wanted to move on. Chelsea had made him an offer, fantastic offer, and he'd expressed a desire. He said no. He said I want to play for Liverpool, and on that, Liverpool actually made the move to sign him. They made the bid. They knew he wanted to come, so they made the bid, and the rest is history. You know, so I believe we should be able to do the same thing. I don't see why that can't be a feature. It only helps to improve the mode and make people want to play it more, because, you know, if they're playing for the club they want to play for, then, you know, they're more likely to play it than if they're at a club that they really just don't want to be at. So yeah, hopefully we can see that introduced into the mode as well. Next up is having more than one offer from a team available at one time. I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but I've definitely noticed this. If you stall on an offer that you have received, you cannot receive a second offer until you have either accepted or rejected that initial bid, which is extremely frustrating for people. I may decide to stall on an offer because I'm waiting for another club, but if they don't come in, I will then go for that club, but I have to reject them because otherwise I won't get that other offer from the club, and then that offer will expire, and then there's not a lot of time for me left in the transfer window for me to get my move, and then it all goes into a panic stations essentially. Why can't we have more than one offer at once? I don't understand that for 1 minute, to be honest. That's not a fair reflection of how it works in real life, so let's just move past that really. Introduce the feature of having more than one offer available at once, and then we can all move on. The final wish for improvement in this category is a bit of a grey area. Now, the requested improvement was the ability to captain both your club and your country. Now, in all my time playing player career mode, I've never once been the captain of my side. And in doing my research, I've found a lot of people wishing for the same thing, but then there were certain times when I saw people say you can be the captain of your club and country. I've done it before, but a lot of people don't seem to have that. I'm not quite sure if that's true or not, if there's just some sort of glitch. I don't fully understand, but either way, it'd be nice to have some clarity on that. And if we are needing clarity, then the problem clearly is that it's not happening often enough. And if so, how does it get judged? How does leadership get judged? What is the criteria in FIFA for someone becoming a captain? So yeah, let's just see this feature more obvious. Really, it would be nice if we maybe had a leadership stat which could be improved through XP, through traits, etc. And then if we've got that leadership attribute, or we've got a leadership trait, then we're more likely to be captain, or we will end up being captain at some point. So yeah, hopefully we can get improvements on that side as well. On that note, guys, it is time to bring part 1 of this player career mode wishlist to a close. If you've made it through to the end, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Be sure to like the video and subscribe if you enjoy the content and you are not already subscribed. Now this video is going out on the weekend beginning the 16th of February. Now if you're watching this fairly instantly, the next 2 installments will be out the following week, which is commencing the 19th of February. So be sure to ring that bell to get notifications on, regardless of how many installments there are left. I've got to say, there are absolutely tons of different improvements I'm still yet to talk about, which I've got written down and ready to go. So there is going to be a minimum of 2 further installments of this career mode wishlist series, possibly more, because there is a lot to get through and I'm really looking forward to it. So be sure to let me know any improvements that you'd like to see, but bear in mind they are probably going to be in the future episodes. So be sure to check them out as well and let me know what you'd like to see added into player career mode. If you haven't already, go and check out my other wish lists. The playlist will be linked in the description below and will also be linked at the end of this video. And on that note, I have been Bromway Team. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you soon.